Hey everybody, in this video we're going to take a look at my Liverpool firework display from 2025, but with some audio commentary. If you'd prefer to watch this video without me chattering away, you'll find a link to that in the corner of the screen now. So I always like to start my display with something that's going to grab the audience's attention, so usually like a dump cake, something that's going to give an instant hit. So let's start the show off, and this starts off with Moving On Up from Celtic Fireworks. And then just 2 seconds later we should have 5 of these little pearl cakes going off. Now you might be able to see there's only 4 going off. The one on the stand on the right, fountain site 5 or E, it didn't fire, and this got me a little bit worried. I was like, oh, is anything going to fire on that table? Because that was slaved to table A on the opposite side, and I didn't check the continuity individually of both tables, I just checked them combined. So I was really worried it wasn't going to fire, so we'll see what happens in a minute. Then we move on to La Vida Loca. A couple of those cakes from Leslie firing. I always like to fire cakes in twos, that way if one doesn't go off you've not got dead sky. Then on the fountain tables here are the noise barrels, and you can see that yes, fountain table 5 or E on the right there is working with that blue flame, so that was a bit of a relief for me at this point in time. And then these are the 2 radioactive cakes from Pyro Mafia, which are effectively rewraps of Pyroworks products. But nice big bursts on these, nice colour, nice tails on the shots as they travel up. And there's the end of the noise barrel fountains there with the little mine lift effects. On the fountain tables now are the Jitterbug fountains from Cosmic, and in the background is Lap Dance. I really like Lap Dance. It's a relatively low noise cake, but it's fanned in parts as well, so it doesn't detract from those fountains. I love those little darting effects you can see on those little Cosmic fountains. So those fountains are still the Jitterbug fountains. But now in the background we've got a couple of sticks, cakes from Yorgi firing. And then on the fountain tables now are the Bengal flames from Vulcan. I really like these, they're long lasting, the colours are really vivid on them. And we're transitioning behind in the cakes to It Bites now. I've angled these slightly in so they kind of cross over. Nice mix of different effects in this cake as well. Serpent Attack now from Celtic going off in the middle, with a V-fired blues and twos from Celtic. This combination worked really well actually, with the 2 blues and twos going off either side and Serpent Attack up in the middle. Serpent Attack 41 shots, really underrated. Some ghost changing colour stars. Some whistles. On the fountain table there are 2 lunar fountains from Yorgi. These are okay. I kind of wish they weren't red because I've got another section of red fountains coming up later, so I'd rather these weren't red, but anyway. In the middle this is Matrix from Evolution. 50 shot cake, lasts 40 seconds. Nice mix of colour in here. On 3 of the fountain tables now just starting are the Pom-Poms fountains from Jonathan's. They've They've got kind of jelly bean effects to them as well, but also a bit of gold flutter. And in front of these now, on separate posts, you can see the jelly bean fountains. These are from standard fireworks called Spectrum. These are actually left over from the year before. They didn't fire on this show last year, but they were perfectly intact. It's just none of the igniters worked on the firing system on this channel, so I've thrown them into this show this year. And they kind of work quite well with those pom-pom fountains. But you definitely want to raise up jelly bean fountains off the ground because they don't achieve a great height and a lot of their effect does cascade down. In the sky behind, this is Cash Game from Fire Magic, 2 cakes. And then we bring in the Catherine wheels. So the outer 2 Catherine wheels are Razzmatazz from Bright Star, and the inner one is Carousel by Zeus Fireworks, an award-winning Catherine wheel in fact. But I have to say, I think actually the Razzmatazz ones from Bright Star outperformed Carousel. In the background we've got Triforks going off. Nice fanned effects there, some nice big blue breaks, some Z firing comets. You see those Razzmatazz wheels are still going. This is now Night Tracer, a lovely crossette cake that's fanned. This was really quite big. The bursts on this did travel quite a long way. You can see the wind direction was pushing the smoke towards the building. It was going a little bit towards the spectators, so I was constantly monitoring it to see if any hot debris was falling on the audience, and it was okay, but that Night Tracer was the one that just had me a little bit worried because the breaks were quite big. On the fountain tables now are 3 roughneck fountains. It's so difficult to find big fountains that don't have any crackle in, so there are some in this display, but quite a lot of them do have crackle, sadly. But there's some nice blue in these. Bit of a whistling effect as well. The 2 cakes in the background are now In the Money by Primed. Nice big bursts on these. Lots of colour. And some crackle as well. On the fountain tables are the Hocus Pocus mine/fountain combinations. Always a good crowd pleaser. See, I did have one shot that broke quite low on that In the Money cake. There's the mine effects. And then these are the white strobe flares from Yorgi. A little bit smoky, but actually so bright. Really, really bright. In the background are 2 Let's Go candles from Celtic. And you've still got the Hocus Pocus fountains doing their little mine lifts there. So yeah, those strobes really bright, a little bit smoky. And then we move on to the Celtic red blinkers. 2 of them on my fountain tables. Really so bright, they're really good these. And then bringing in some red blink fountains as well. And they kind of work, that combination of red really works. Then in a few seconds I bring in some red mines, the Northern Lights candles from Evolution. You'll see them coming in a few seconds. There they go. These were really decent. They didn't achieve a particularly amazing height, but actually it kind of worked. And then this should have been 2 Ultimate Battle of Colours from Brothers. Only one of them fired though, sadly. But that's again why it's always good to do things in pairs. Then if something doesn't fire, you've still not got Dark Skies. So the audience weren't aware there was meant to be 2. But it frustrated me. So that was the second firework that didn't fire. This is then screaming UFOs. And on the fountain tables, we've got all those Alleluia candles, which if you remember from my garage live streams when we were prepping all this, I did those at slight angles rather than doing them all vertically. And that worked quite well. So Screaming UFO is a good cake. There's a bit of a delay though between each bank of shots, isn't there? Then we move into Howling Hounds from Jonathan's. In the centre it's a Hummer cake, and on the outer sides are the Vulcan multicoloured Hummers, which you guys have put in this show. I wasn't going to put these in the show, but you guys contributed and super chatted. Thank you so much again if you were one of those people. And we put 2 in the show. Then we move into the low noise section, which is 2 anti-venom cakes from Vivid. In hindsight, I would have liked to have V'd these a little bit wider, because they both look kind of like they were fired vertically, but there is a bit of an angle on those. I could have done a bit more of an angle, I guess. And then we move into the breakout fountain. This is Vivid's spinning fountain. Never done a spinning fountain in this display before, so the audience really responded well to this. And at the same time, on the outer fountain tables, we've got the impressive golden shower fountains from Celtic, new for 2025. Really impressive, really nice. And this is one of my favourite sections of the show because I just think the combination of these work really well. Spinning fountain there, you can see kind of almost isn't doing a lot at this point. Then it does start spinning again. There we go, we can see it starting to rotate now. And yes, it looks a bit silver, but it does transition into gold. Like that, and that looks really nice, doesn't it? All those gold fountains. Breakout and the golden shower fountains were all meant to last the same length of time, 60 seconds. Breakout did last a little bit longer though, didn't it? So now we move into the finale section. We've still got anti-venom going off in the background. It ran longer than I was expecting. But on the front now we've got the Vulcan popcorn fountains. Lots of crackle in there. So I'm building up the crackle. On the ground there you can see the Kanister fountains from Funky. 60-second crackling fountains. So at this point we've got lots of crackle going on. And yes, one of those little low-level ones didn't ignite. So that's the 3rd failure in this show. We've got crackle on the ground. We've got crackle on the fountain tables. We've got crackle in front. Quite smoky, unfortunately, at this point in time. In the back, we've got the burner cakes from Leslie, 3 of them. We've also got Special Forces fountains going off now on the 2 fountain tables. We've got Angel Dust XL, 3 of them going off in the background. Just the normal Angel Dust going off in the front in a V. We've got the Northern Lights whistle candles going off. We've got Wasp, which are little cakes on the outer side at the front that are crossing over. There's the Northern Lights whistle. We have Mexican Wave going off as well, double dynamite, spinner candles. Those are the Sputniks. Those are the Scream Salutes. And on the ground, the Fireballs. Now, sadly, unfortunately, 2 of the burner cakes did run on, which I'm really annoyed about because the finale's kind of finished and these cakes are still ongoing, which is a shame. I said I had 3 of these, 1 vertical, 2 on the outer ones crossing in. The one on the left, as you look at it, is obviously clearly finished. The middle one and the one on the right still ongoing for significantly longer than I was expecting. I was expecting these to last 35 seconds, and as you can see, the one on the right just kept going, just kept going, just kept going, it wouldn't stop. And then, oh, I thought it had stopped. No, it's still going. It was so long, this cake. It was really, really annoying. So I've learned my lesson, don't use burners because they are just too unpredictable in terms of how long they last. I mean, consumer fireworks, the timings on them are never always exact, but roughly within about 5 or 10 seconds you should be okay. But as you saw, those ones ran on significantly longer than 30 seconds. Anyway, that was my display in Liverpool for 2025. There's going to be another video coming up. I did a time lapse of the actual setup and we'll talk through that, so do check out that when it lands. But for now, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to my channel for more great firework content.